So hey Blake, it's Jean Case, CEO of the Case Foundation. Great to meet you today. You know, by way of background, Case Foundation is about 15 years old. I spent my private sector career before that building AOL as the online service, and that was a lot of fun. So we've been invested in a number of different technology startups, platforms, etc., and have worked closely actually with the military on a lot of fronts as well, and military
Great.
organizations. So it's a pleasure to meet you. We're excited by what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to our chat today.
Well, thank you so much, Gene. I really appreciate it. Blake Hall, founder and CEO of IDme, which just launched on Monday. Troop ID was our first product that helps service members and veterans access benefits online in a way that enhances their privacy. Like you, we're actually located in McLean, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., so we're right down the road from one another. And fundamentally, what the company is trying to do is to solve, the problem that's existed on the internet since its beginning, which is trust. Individuals don't have a way to prove who they are or things about themselves that are true in a quick, secure manner. And organizations don't have a trusted intermediary that can help them verify, customer claims and eligibility. And so IDme is really similar to like a PayPal for digital identity to help individuals and members of groups verify their status online.
So, you know, I followed your efforts for a while, and I was excited to see the change to ID.me this week. But talk a little bit about the business model. How does the business model work? How are you guys making money?
Yeah, so there's sort of two phases to how I think about the strategy. The first one is getting the single sign-on widely adopted, and that's where we focused on retailers. And if you look at retail, they have a number of different pain points. They have an inconsistent customer experience across their in-store and their online platforms, and that actually results in traffic into their call center. And it defeats kind of the entire purpose of the program in the first place, which is to deepen loyalty. So if you're a service member who can't access the benefit because you live overseas or in a rural part of the country, now they're calling in, and so you've got FTEs in the call center. And then actually we've shown that our carts convert 25 to 33% higher for service members and veterans and some of the retailers where we're integrated. So we basically make our revenue from a licensing fee to prevent fraud for the brands. And then the brands will also pay us a commission on sale for the transactions that go through the program. As far as where we're going next, if somebody replicated our access to data tomorrow, they'd have a really hard time getting a merchant to integrate their solution once they've already integrated ours. So as we get into brands' checkout flows and into their registration flows, all of those brands across the network bear a smaller and smaller percentage of initial verification because they're sharing it, Under Armour, Overstock, WWE, 511 Tactical. And once we've got the distribution, the next step is to enable higher value use cases like remote access to medical records. So for veterans, it might be access to the VA's e-benefits site. And those logins typically go for $1.25 to $2 when you look at like an LOA level of assurance to log on at higher levels of assurance.
So it feels to me a little bit, though, like you've spread. You've gone from sort of more of a focused approach to a pretty broad approach in which you're serving a number of different sort of segments. You've got the B2B thing going on with the merchants. Sounds like you're trying to expand organizationally as well and getting organizations to play. But you still have an individual IDme going on. How do you segment that? How do you do that smartly as a small organization?
Yeah, so I think we still want to be very focused in terms of the groups that we expand to make sure that the verification is 99% automatic in real time, so that we can go into brands checkout flows, and so that we're not kind of inundated with manual forms that are being uploaded to verify, and our team isn't overwhelmed. But for us, like we want to kind of be the trust layer for the web at scale. And in order to do that, our key metric is how do we increase the number of users who sign up per day from each one of the merchants who've integrated our technology. And so, a lot of those customers had said, Under Armour is a great example. They said, we'd only serve service members and veterans. We also like to recognize first responders. And can you verify first responders for us? So, we dug around, figured out, these are the different data stores that have the credentials that a first responder has. And once we felt that we were ready to verify that group, we now are in their checkout flow verifying first responders as well. But really, our biggest challenge is going to be making sure that we keep it automated and that we have trust from consumers and enough value for consumers across the network that they want to adopt the credential.
So how do you look at scale? Like, where are you now and where do you want to go? And on that same point, are you using a leveraged model at all? For instance, the New York Stock Exchange is very excited about benefits to veterans, et cetera. Getting something like the New York Stock Exchange to jazz their companies about it. How are you going forward?
Yeah, so I think to your point, like any time that we can form partnerships that would touch a large percentage of the community right away, those are partnerships that we want to look at. So, when you think about top 10 internet retailers, national brands, organizations that would have connections to facilitate those introductions, that those are the organizations that we've targeted in terms of business development. And then actually just raising capital from angel investors, have looked for investors who are connected in different ways and can help on the BD side as well.
So can you talk a little bit about where you want to go in terms of scale and sort of what's keeping you up at night as you think about growth?
Yeah, I think everything at this stage, everything is dependent on first building a broad distribution network across retailers so that we have thousands of people registering. And in order to verify, some of these folks, sometimes it takes a full Social Security number, and that's where, trust is going to be really important. We've built bank grade security in the back end. We've got the former chief network security officer of the Pentagon doing our director of information security, but information security is the number one priority on my list. The second thing is we've got to cross the chasm. We've got to upgrade the identity proofing capabilities in our partnerships. We've got a partnership with the credit card bureau to show that we could be a single sign-on for financial institutions and for healthcare organizations to access medical records. And that's truly where a lot of the value will be created in the business. And I think like anything else, I know that there's a pain point, and I've got an idea of how the business will work, but until we've confirmed those assumptions, it's difficult until you're kind of right in the middle of it.
Right. Do you feel like you have the network and mentors around you to help you get to the places you need to go that you just mentioned?
We're really fortunate. David Tisch is an investor and advisor to the company. He's wonderful. Mark McLaughlin, who took VeriSign public as the CEO of Palo Alto Networks, is an investor and an advisor. Red McCombs, Texas billionaire and Army veteran, has put in about $1 million, and he's been terrific. I think. And Youngmi Moon, who's my mentor at Harvard Business School, she's the dean of the HBS program, is also an investor and advisor. So we've been really fortunate to have a lot of people who feel very passionately about our mission to serve some of the communities that we started with, and kind of trust us to figure it out for the future. So.
Yeah, and I think Kelly Perdue's engaged with you guys as well. Is that right?
Oh. Yeah, Kelly is my mentor. Yes, I love him, and he thinks the world of you.
He's a dear friend, and I think you're in good hands with Kelly's involvement. Well, I look forward to talking to you guys more. Is there anything else we want to cover? Any issues specifically that I can be of help with, or that you're stressing over today?
Well, what I'd be curious about, just with your background in the nonprofit space, are there issues in terms of digital verification where nonprofit organizations struggle in terms of getting their members increased access to benefits, or
Yeah, definitely,
or just like
definitely. Now, I'll name two that we work closely with. One we were angel funders for and have continued to fund, called Give an Hour. And in that scenario, mental health workers provide 1 hour of free service a week to military and their families. So there's 7,000 doctors across the nation doing this. In that case, obviously, there's some kind of verification needed. So that's also a path to a lot more individuals and potentially organizations. Do you work with IABA right now, another close partner of ours that we funded as well?
Yeah, so in both accounts, Dr. Barbara Van Dalen is a good friend of mine at Given Hour. She's wonderful. And then Derek Bennett, who's one of my close friends at business school and was an aide to General Petraeus while he was in the military, chief of staff over at IAVA. We've been working very closely with them to kind of take their verification burden off their hands and make it a little bit easier for veterans to join that organization, which is doing great stuff.
Well, you know, Blake, I look forward to coming to see you guys. And what we'll do is we'll just make a list of the groups we know. We had a lot of ideas as we looked at the company and the concept, and look forward to continuing to engage.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, and we'd love to host you over here whenever you've got the time.
Sounds good, Blake. All the best to you.
All right, and you as well. Take care.